A police officer was left bound inside a burning truck at the edge of a frozen forest, abandoned, silenced, left to die. But fate had other plans. From the shadows stepped an unlikely savior, a 10-year-old homeless girl and a scarred German shepherd once rejected as a failed K9. That night, what they did didn't just save a man's life. It set off a battle against corruption and betrayal that would shake an entire town. This isn't merely a story of survival. It's a testament to courage, showing how the bond between a child, a wounded officer, and a broken dog can rewrite destiny. Where are you listening from tonight? The winter in Aspen Hollow, Colorado was brutal. Snow pressed heavily on the pines, icy winds carved at exposed skin, and silence hung thick, broken only by the crunch of tiny boots and the soft tread of Paws. Lily James, 10 years old, and far too thin for the cold, moved forward with her only companion Rex, a German shepherd with a folded right ear and scars along his flank. Lily's cotton dress, once bright pink, was now torn and stained, hidden beneath a gray cardigan, whose frayed edges whipped in the wind. Her sneakers were mismatched and too big, stuffed with rags to keep the snow out. She looked like a child out of place, yet her gray eyes were sharp and wide, carrying the instincts of someone who had survived long enough to recognize danger by its scent. Rex padded beside her black and tan coat, dusted with frost breath puffing in clouds. Once trained for police work, he had been discarded after a training accident revealed his fear of screeching metal. Most abandoned dogs disappeared, but Rex endured clinging to fragments of his training and to Lily, who never demanded more from him than he could give. That night, the storm carried a new scent, acrid gasoline burning rubber. Lily froze, nostrils flaring. Ahead through the trees, an orange glow flickered like a warning beacon. She and Rex exchanged a look, hers curious, his cautious, and together they pressed through the snow. At the forest's edge, a maroon pickup truck was engulfed in flames. Fire devoured the cab, spitting sparks skyward, while the snow hissed into slush around it. Lily's heart hammered. Through the cracked windshield, she glimpsed a man inside, bound and struggling faintly. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a navy winter police uniform already blackened at the seams. Close-cropped brown hair clung to his sweat and soot-streaked face. A salt and pepper beard, flecked with ash, framed his gaunt, exhausted features. Even in pain, there was the stern geometry of a man used to command. This was Jack Carter 42, a figure in town known for calm authority and quiet endurance since his wife's death years ago. He was gagged, wrists tied behind him, slumped like discarded cargo. Rex Lily whispered. The dog barked sharply once, then bolted to the tailgate. Lily raced after him, yanking at the driver's door, but the handle burned through her damp glove. She bit her lip, scanning the area, until her eyes fell on a bent iron rod half buried in snow. She grabbed it, wedged it into the tailgate latch, and leaned with every ounce of her wiry strength. Metal screeched, gave way, and the gate crashed open. Heat and smoke billowed outward. Rex leapt into the truck bed, thrust his head through the shattered rear window, and clamped his teeth gently on Jack's sleeve. The officer stirred weakly, eyes flickering open. Rex tugged, muscles straining, pulling inch by inch, until Jack slid backward. Lily scrambled up, shouting encouragement, holding the tailgate as flames roared higher. "Come on," she cried, her thin voice almost lost in the storm. Rex heaved, Lily pulled, and finally Jack Carter tumbled into the snow, coughing raggedly. The moment his body hit the ground, a deafening boom split the night, the auxiliary gas tank igniting. Sparks shot into the sky, knocking Lily sideways, Instinctively, Rex shielded her, planting himself between her and the fire. Snowflakes mixed with cinders as Lily crawled back to Jack. His face was pale beneath soot breaths shallow. She tore off her cardigan, pressing it over his mouth and nose to filter the smoke. "Breathe," she pleaded. Rex leaned close, licking Jack's cheek, nudging him toward consciousness. Jack groaned, shifting slightly. Lily noticed the ropes fraying at his wrists, strands singed and streaked with bright orange paint. She picked up a loose end and sniffed. Beneath the gasoline was the sharp tang of industrial solvent, the same smell she had caught once behind the post office when unmarked trucks idled at midnight. She tucked the rope into her small backpack. Jack's cracked lips moved. "Someone wanted me silenced," he rasped, voice hoarse, each word dragged like a stone uphill. His piercing blue eyes fixed on Lily. "Didn't expect you," she muttered, helping him sit up despite his left shoulder hanging wrong, dislocated. She was too small to carry him, but she steadied him while Rex pressed against his side, lending warmth and weight. Lily stared at the burning truck, then back at Jack. She could have walked away, let the forest erase the scene, but her eyes hardened. She looked at Rex, alert, tail stiff, waiting for her call. "No one deserves to be left like that," she said firmly. "We're not leaving you." Jack sagged, relief etched across his face. For the first time since the fire began, Lily felt the world tilt toward something beyond mere survival. Together, one wounded officer, one stubborn little girl, and a scarred shepherd. They left the fire behind and pushed into the snow-choked woods, carrying not only a saved life, but the first thread of a secret others would kill to keep buried. The blaze was behind them now, but its ghost still clung to Jack Carter's jacket, the smell of smoke and gasoline stitched into the fabric. Lily James stumbled forward, her thin shoulders straining under the weight of a man 3 times her size, while Rex stayed tight to Jack's other side, pressing close to keep him steady. Snow whispered around them, trying to erase their tracks, but Lily's resolve left its mark in every step. Through the storm, the lights of Fort Ridge flickered faintly, but she knew where to go. Not the police station where trust was a fragile thing Jack couldn't risk, but to a brick church with a wooden steeple leaning slightly, as if bowing to the mountain wind. St. Bridget's. The side door creaked when Lily pushed it open. Warmth drifted out with the faint smell of candles. Rex's ears twitched as he sniffed the air sage incense, old wood polish, and something far more inviting. Soup. From the shadows emerged Edna Knox, the church's caretaker. She was 58, with soft, rounded shoulders and silver hair always escaping its bun. Years of kindness had etched fine lines around her pale blue eyes. She wore a beige cardigan buttoned crookedly, a long wool skirt, and a gray apron stained from evening cooking. She looked like a woman who had carried too many burdens for too many people, and never complained. "Lord above." "Lily," Edna whispered, rushing forward when she saw Jack. "What have you brought me this time?" Her voice scolding but full of worry. "A man," Lily said simply. He was left to burn. Jack tried to straighten, but his dislocated shoulder dragged him back down. His square, weathered face was pale beneath the grime. "Officer Jack Carter," he rasped, each word stiff. "Hell inside the PD. Don't call anyone, please." Edna's gaze sharpened. She'd seen fear disguised before in the eyes of runaways and drifters who found refuge in the church cellar. She asked no questions. Instead, she lifted a lantern and motioned them downstairs. The cellar was cool and smelled of earth lined with old folding chairs stacked against one wall and quilts piled in a chest. A battered stove squatted in the corner, throwing off a small, stubborn heat. Rex shook snow from his fur, circled once, and settled near the stove tail, curled tight. Edna guided Jack to a cot and got to work. Her hands were gentle, but efficient, the hands of a woman who had patched more than clothes in her lifetime. "Your shoulders out of place," she murmured, "and the smoke's torn up your lungs." She fashioned a sling from a torn bedsheet, then rubbed salve across his blistered skin. Jack winced, but said nothing. Lily stood nearby, stomach growling. Edna noticed. "Sit. I made broth earlier." She ladled steaming soup into a chipped bowl and set it in Lily's hands. The smell of chicken and carrots filled the room. Lily's eyes lit up. She ate slowly, savoring each spoonful as if it might vanish. Jack stirred, trying to lift himself on one elbow. His blue eyes, dulled by exhaustion, focused on Lily and Edna. His voice was hoarse. "I was watching the Maple Mill site, the old sawmill. Trucks moving at night, no markings. Someone was waiting. They got me before I could radio it in." Lily paused mid-bite. "I saw them too," she said quickly. "Big trucks, no plates." They cut past the post office alley after dark. Rex lifted his head at the word trucks. He padded over to Jack, pressing his nose against the officer's singed jacket. He sniffed, sneezed, then pawed lightly at the fabric. Lily bent closer. "What is it, boy?" Rex sniffed again, circling Jack once, then licked at a dark stain near the cuff. Jack frowned. "Fuel residue," he muttered, "but not gasoline. That's industrial lubricant gear oil. Different." Lily remembered the black puddles near the post office, slick rainbows spreading across the asphalt. "I smelled that before," she said. "Strong like tar." Rex smelled it too. Edna folded her arms, her round face stern. "Then you should tell the department officer. This is bigger than you think." Jack shook his head, jaw set hard. "Can't. Someone inside put me in that truck. If I report it, it goes straight back to them. I don't know who I can trust." Silence pressed heavy in the cellar. Lily, sitting cross-legged with her empty bowl, spoke up. "Then trust us." Her voice was small, but firm. "Me and Rex, we see things. We see things. We don't belong anywhere, so nobody notices when we're watching." Edna Knox gasped softly. "Lily, you can't." But Lily's chin lifted stubbornly. "We can help." Jack Carter studied her. The girl's pink dress was torn, her knees scraped, yet her eyes held the hard steel of someone who had chosen survival long ago. Rex sat alert at her side, ears pricked, waiting for Jack's judgment. "You're just a kid," Jack said at last. His tone carried disbelief, not dismissal. "I'm not just anyone," Lily shot back. "I'm what's here. And Rex, he's better than any deputy who'd tie you up." Jack's lips twitched into a weary half-smile. He looked at the girl and the scarred dog, two strays who had dragged him from fire. Perhaps he realized strays were exactly what this fight needed. "You might be right," he murmured. The snow had thinned by the next night, but the cold still bit sharply through wool. Fort Ridge slept beneath its frost-laden blanket, but Lily was awake, her breath puffing in clouds as she followed Jack Carter through the tree line. Rex padded silently beside them, Paws whispering over the snow. The scarred German shepherd's flank rippled as he moved, every muscle coiled with focus. Ahead, the hulking skeleton of Maple Mill once the town's heartbeat rose under moonlight. The sawmill had been closed a decade ago, after an accident claimed 2 lives. Rusted machinery loomed over the yard, jagged saw teeth glinting cold and sharp. The place smelled of damp wood and engine oil. Jack remembered wary, never fully trusting. "We stay quiet," he whispered, pulling his heavy jacket tighter. His face still drawn from smoke inhalation, his eyes regained steel. "Lily, climb and watch. Rex, stay low with me." Determination flickered in Lily's blue-gray eyes. She scampered up the leaning ladder, her small frame nimble against the creaking metal. On the roof, she pressed her cheek to the cold, corrugated tin peering into the mill yard. Rex circled the perimeter, ears up, nose twitching, then froze near a warped floorboard. Jack crouched, jotting notes in a small notebook. He had salvaged it from Edna's cellar. His blocky handwriting tracked every truck rumbling through the gates. Each unmarked headlights dimmed. The drivers were faceless under hats, and shadows, plates sometimes stolen, sometimes grime-covered numbers worth remembering. On the roof, Lily's teeth chattered as she whispered down. 3 trucks, so far. They don't unload, she said. They just circle like testing routes. Her breath plumed white into the night. Rex whined low from the warped planks. He pawed once, then scratched. The wood shifted, revealing the edge of a hidden hatch. Jack's heart leapt. He helped Rex pry it open, the stink of oil and mothballs hitting hard. Beneath the hatch, rows of crates gleamed under lantern light. Lily climbed down carefully, fingers brushing frost from her skirt. She crouched beside the hatch, eyes wide. "What's in there?" Jack lowered himself into the space lantern, flickering across stenciled letters, S.C. and Company. He brushed away dust, revealing more markings. A ledger and a calendar lay atop one crate, pages curling with moisture. Dates scrawled in red pen, shipments timed precisely after midnight. Before he could pocket the calendar, a voice broke the silence. Well, looks like I'm not the only one watching late-night traffic." Jack stiffened as from the shadows emerged Wade Boone, 38, lean and wired tight. Wade carried himself like a man used to being underestimated. Short brown hair slicked back with gel jaw, clean-shaven dimples visible when he smiled. Tonight his grin was predatory, dark eyes glinting under the lantern. "Wade," Jack said flatly, hand flexing at his side. "What are you doing here?" Wade shrugged, stepping into the light. His Navy deputy jacket looked new against the mill's ruin. "Same as you, partner. Heard rumors, thought I'd check myself. Guess we're on the same trail." Rex growled, low throat rumbling, neck fur bristling. His nose twitched, catching something sharp chemical. Lily, clutching the calendar, glanced at Wade's hands. Leather gloves scuffed at the knuckles except the right one, where a smear of orange paint clung to the seam. Her heart lurched. The same color as the rope that had bound Jack. Jack followed her gaze and saw it too. For a split second his jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Years in uniform had taught him when to hold fire. Wade spread his arms slightly, feigning camaraderie. "Look, you and I both know something dirty's moving through this town. You've got notes, I bet. I've got instincts. We could cover more ground together than apart." Lily James edged closer to Rex, her small frame half hidden behind the dog's scarred bulk. She whispered, "Jack, he's lying." But Jack Carter only closed the hatch, slowly slipping the ledger into his coat. His face was a mask of neutrality. "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe you're covering your own tracks." Wade Boone's smile faltered for half a second before he recovered. "Now that's not fair. We're brothers in blue, aren't we?" Jack didn't answer. His silence was sharper than any accusation. The milliard creaked with tension. Rex's growl deepened until Wade took a cautious step back. The deputy raised his hands. "Fine, keep your secrets. But if you're smart, you'll keep me in the loop. Folks don't like loners out here. He turned boots crunching over snow and disappeared into the night. Lily exhaled slowly. He tied you up, didn't he? Jack's eyes were shadows under his brow. I don't have proof. But the paint. Proof. Lily, Jack repeated, though his voice carried more weariness than conviction. He looked at her, then at Rex, both staring at him with unwavering trust. His chest ached with something more than pain. Come on, he muttered. We're leaving. Together the three slipped from Maple Mill as the last truck pulled out its taillights, fading like embers into the trees. Behind them, the crates of SC and Company sat in silence, secrets buried in wood and shadows. But doubt had taken root, and Jack knew it would only grow. The next morning, the snow over Fort Ridge gleamed under a brittle sun, but the chill cut sharper than any night wind. Jack Carter sat stiffly in the church cellar, his sling tight around his shoulder. His face, lean and worn from years in uniform, was set in a mask of frustration. He had tried the radio once more, tried logging into police records through his laptop, but every frequency and file returned the same result. Static, blank screens, missing entries. Someone had gone to great lengths to erase not just his report, but every trace of his work. Lily James, small and wiry, in her tattered pink dress under a gray sweater, watched him from her seat on the cot. She sipped the last of the soup Edna Knox had left them, then set the bowl down with a determined clink. If they erased everything, doesn't that mean they're scared? She asked. Her gray-blue eyes held a fierceness beyond her age. Jack exhaled slowly, shaking his head. It means they're powerful. Powerful enough to control the department's servers and radio channels. That narrows the suspects, but it also makes it dangerous. Lily chewed her lip, then dug into the small cloth satchel she carried everywhere. From its folds, she produced a black USB stick with a cracked cap. I found this in your cruiser. It was shoved under the seat, taped. Did you put it there? Jack's eyes widened. Yes. I backed up footage from my dashcam the night before I was grabbed. Thought if anything happened, it would be safer hidden. Didn't think a kid would be the one to find it. Lily smiled faintly. Good thing you've got me then. The three of them, Jack Carter, Lily James, and Rex, made their way across town as dusk began to fall. Rex trotted ahead, tail-stiff ears pricked at every sound, his scarred flank catching the light, a living reminder of his discarded K-9 days. Their destination was a low brick building near the edge of Main Street, Sam Carter's garage. The roll-up doors stood half open, the smell of oil and steel spilling into the frosted air. Inside, sparks flew from a welding torch, and the rhythmic clang of metal echoed. Behind a battered workbench stood Sam Carter, mid-50s, shoulders still broad, despite the stoop of age. His hair was steel gray, cropped close, his beard thick and flecked with white, framing a weathered face. Years of machines had left his skin dark and rough fingers scarred. His brown eyes were steady, but softened when he saw Lily leading Jack in. Well now, Sam said, setting aside his torch. His voice was gravelly, shaped by decades of smoke and shouting over engines. Didn't expect company this late. He wiped his hands on a rag and frowned at Jack. Jack, you look like you went 10 rounds with a freight train. Something like that, Jack said grimly. Lily stepped forward, holding up the USB like treasure. We need help. Can you look at this? See what's on it? Sam studied her for a long moment, then glanced at Jack. You trust her with this. I trust her more than most men I wear a badge beside. Jack replied, without hesitation. That was enough for Sam Carter. He motioned them to a corner where an old computer hummed quietly. Its tower dented the monitor, streaked with dust, but Sam's thick fingers moved with surprising dexterity as he plugged in the USB. Rex lay at Lily James' feet, nose twitching, as if he already knew what the little device held. For a moment the screen flickered, then played a grainy dash cam clip. The headlights of Jack Carter's cruiser cut through Maple Mill's entrance. Figures moved in the glare, shadowy men hefting crates. The video jumped static, scratching across, then sharpened again on a face. The man was bald, scalp gleaming under the light. An eagle wings spread wide, tattooed across the side of his neck. He barked orders, voice faint but clear enough to catch. Lily gasped. "The eagle! I've seen that before." Jack's jaw tightened, hand gripping the arm of the chair. "Hank Delaney." Sam leaned back. Brows furrowed. "That the same Delaney who runs Delaney Timber and Transport sponsors the 4th of July donates to schools." The same Jack confirmed, voice low and bitter. He had built an empire on lumber, looking clean to the world. But he had been moving more than logs, drugs, maybe worse. They had suspected for years, but nothing stuck. Now they had him on tape. Lily's mind raced. "I saw trucks near the bus depot last winter. They had the eagle too, not painted big, just stamped on the back doors. I thought it was decoration, but it's the same." Rex rose and padded closer to the monitor. He sniffed at the USB, then at Jack's jacket. His ears twitched, tail flicked once. Lily crouched, scratching her chin. "He's connecting the smells," she murmured. "The oil on Jack's clothes. The truck's the same place." Sam folded his arms, eyes narrowing. "If Delaney's behind this, you're poking a hornet's nest, Jack. He's got deputies on payroll, maybe judges too. He didn't get this far by leaving trails." Jack leaned forward, voice steady, despite the ache in his shoulder. "Then we follow what trails we have." Lily spotted something he'd missed. Rex's nose knows more than any paperwork. They built from there. Suddenly the garage felt smaller walls pressing in with the weight of what they'd uncovered. Outside snow drifted softly, muffling the world. Inside a child, a wounded officer, and a scarred dog sat with a mechanic over evidence that could topple one of Colorado's most respected names. For the first time in years, Jack felt the shape of a case that mattered more than his own survival. The wall of silence was starting to crack. The idea came to Lily not from the streets she had walked, or the alleys where she and Rex scavenged, but from a memory of chalk dust saint. Bridget's had a side room, once used for Sunday school, long abandoned. The desks were cracked windows painted with frost, but in a drawer, Lily had once found sticks of phosphorescent chalk, pale green, still glowing faintly when rubbed in the dark. That evening, as church bells tolled faintly against the storm, Lily presented her plan to Jack. She held up the stub of chalk with pride. "If we mark the crates with this, we'll know which ones move." Even in the dark, Jack, seated stiffly at the cellar table, considered her with his weathered face. His short salt-and-pepper beard framed lips pressed in thought. "It's risky," he muttered, gravel voice low. "But smart. Smarter than anything I've heard in weeks." His eyes softened just enough to make Lily beam. Rex wagged his tail once, as if in approval, black and tan coat glimmering faintly in lantern light. One ear still folded, scars faint but visible along his side. He pawed at the chalk stub until Lily tucked it back into her satchel. That night, under a thin veil of clouds, the three slipped through Aspen Hollow streets. Their destination was Aspen Storage, a warehouse complex on the north edge of town. The building stood square, and featureless white panels gleaming like teeth under the moonlight. Jack walked with a limp shoulder still stiff in its sling, but instincts sharp. Lily followed at his side, cardigan buttoned wrong against the cold breath clouding in uneven bursts. Rex moved ahead, nose low, ears twitching at every sound. They crouched behind a stack of crates near the loading dock. A truck rumbled in tires, crunching over ice. Headlights cut low. Lily pressed her cheek against the wood, peeking. The same eagle emblem, faint but unmistakable, stenciled on the rear doors. Jack raised his battered notebook, scribbling plate numbers. "Same fleet," he whispered. The truck backed in. Men in heavy coats worked quickly unloading crates. Lily slipped from cover, small body vanishing into shadow. She pressed the chalk stub against the crate's seam, drawing a faint glowing line before darting back to Jack's side. Inside the warehouse, Rex stiffened. His nose twitched frantically, hackles rising. He padded toward the far wall, sniffing along the cold metal panels. Then he stopped pawing at one section with force. His breath fogged in the frigid air, drifting through a narrow seam. "There's something behind it, Jack Carter," murmured, moving closer. He pressed a hand against the panel. The metal hummed faintly. With a grunt, he pried at the edge. A hidden latch clicked, and the panel swung open to reveal a narrow passage. Beyond it wasn't another storage bay, but a chamber thick with the smell of chemicals and icy air. Desks were cluttered with forged IDs, passports, and stacks of counterfeit bills. Filing cabinets lined the walls, stuffed with papers stamped in foreign languages. At the center, a cage held a boy no older than 9, dark hair plastered to his forehead. His skin was pale lips, cracked, shivering in a thin cotton shirt far too light for the Colorado winter. Wide brown eyes fixed on them, blending fear with hope. Lily James gasped, rushing forward. "Jack! He's alive!" The boy tried to speak, but only a rasp emerged. Jack Carter moved swiftly despite his shoulder injury, grabbing a blanket from a chair and wrapping it around the child. "He's malnourished," Jack muttered, barely keeping warm. "They're holding him here before transport." Lily crouched, brushing hair from the boy's face. "We'll get you out," she whispered fiercely. Rex stood guard at the door, teeth bared toward the distant machinery ears, flicking to the faintest tremor. Then it came a shrill clang, splitting the silence. Alarms blared, red lights flaring along the ceiling. Sirens wailed through the storage yard. Lily clutched the boy tighter. They know Jack's face, hardened instincts roaring back. He grabbed Lily's shoulder. "We move now." The wall shook as steel shutters groaned down over the exits. Jack swore under his breath. "It's electronic, remote-controlled. Someone's watching us." Rex barked sharply, then darted toward a narrow maintenance hallway, nails scraping concrete as he led the way. "Tail rigid, follow him," Jack barked. Lily and Jack half-dragged, half-carried the boy after the dog. The hall twisted, narrow-lined with pipes. Steam hissed from vents, metallic coolant stench filling the air. Behind them, boots thundered voices shouting commands. Rex darted left, squeezing through a gap in the wall where insulation spilled out. Lily ducked, hauling the boy along. Jack squeezed through, last bulk, scraping pain lancing his shoulder. The passage spat them out into the bitter night behind Aspen storage. Snow glittered under floodlights. Jack didn't stop. "Go." Rex bounded ahead through a drainage ditch, barking once to urge them faster. The boy whimpered against Lily's chest, but she held him tight, thin legs pumping through the snow. The alarm still screamed behind them, but the 3 fugitives, child girl and scarred dog, slipped into the dark beyond the warehouse. Wind howled across the mountainside like a wounded beast, whipping snow into blinding sheets that stung bare skin. Jack's heart slogged forward, boots crunching through drifts, each step heavier than the last. His breath fogged in the freezing, dark, wounded shoulder, throbbing beneath his police coat. The message had been urgent. An anonymous informant claimed to have evidence on Hank Delaney, directing him to the abandoned ski lift above Aspen Hollow. But as the storm thickened, Jack's instincts screamed. It was too neat, too convenient. The skeletal silhouette of Lift 7 loomed from the swirling snow. The structure, once a bustling ski hub, now hollow cabins, dangling like empty coffins along a frozen cable. The roof sagged under years of snow metal groaning with every gust. Jack's heart thudded a warning. Jack turned, jaw tightening. Out of the blizzard stepped Deputy Wade Boone, his navy jacket zipped to his throat, gloves tight, sharp brown eyes glinting far colder than the storm. Wet flakes plastered his slicked-back hair, lean frame taut like a wire. In his hand, a pistol gleamed. "You shouldn't have come alone," Wade sneered. "But that's why you're easy to handle." Jack's gut sank. The betrayal was no longer suspicion. It was fact. "You're with Delaney," he said, voice low and steady. Wade's smile widened, humorless. "You think you've been hunting him? He's been 3 steps ahead the whole time, and now I hand you over." From the shadows near the station, a black SUV's headlights flickered once a signal. Jack's stomach clenched. Lily James and Rex had followed him through the storm, though he hadn't realized it. Lily's small frame nearly swallowed by the white-out torn pink dress hidden beneath an oversized gray coat. Edna Knox had pressed on her. Cheeks raw from wind-burn fingers, stiff with cold eyes burning with stubborn fire. She saw Jack pinned under Wade's gun, the SUV waiting. No weapon, no strength, but she had chalk. "Come on, Rex," she whispered. She scrambled up the skeletal frame of the ski lift, small hands clutching icy rungs until her palms burned. The metal shrieked beneath her, each step echoing through the storm. The sound sliced through Rex like a knife. The German Shepherd froze at the base body, trembling, folded ear-twitching breath coming fast. The screech of the pulleys, the sound that once marked his K9 failure, raked his nerves raw. He whimpered, Paws clawing at the snow. Lily James glanced down, blue-gray eyes fierce. "Rex, I need you. Jack needs you." Her voice cut through the storm. Rex's body shook, then locked on Lily, then on Jack. Carter forced to his knees under Wade Boone's gun. Loyalty battled fear, and loyalty won. Rex bounded onto the rungs, claws, scraping body vibrating with every shriek, climbing steadily. At the top, Lily pulled the stub of phosphorescent chalk from her satchel, fingers numb. She scrawled across the massive pulley wheel in broad strokes, SOS. The letters glowed faintly green, stark against the storm visible from the valley below. Wade Boone shoved Jack toward the SUV. "Time for a ride," he muttered, but a shadow lunged from above. Rex hurled himself from the catwalk, scarred body colliding with Wade's back. The deputy's gun clattered into the snow as Rex's teeth clamped onto his arm, dragging him down. Wade shouted, cursing, thrashing against the dog's weight. Jack seized the moment. Ignoring the pain in his shoulder, he lunged for the fallen pistol fingers wrapping the grip. He spun, leveling it at Wade, chest heaving. "You're done, Boone," Jack growled. The SUV door flew open. Out stepped Hank Delaney. Broad-shouldered, long black trench coat, snapping in the wind. Bald scalp gleamed under the snow-light eagle tattoo stark on his neck. Cold slate-gray eyes, silver beard, trimmed sharp. At 50, Hank Delaney carried the arrogance of a man untouchable, one who had bought courts and deputies alike. "Pathetic," he sneered. his voice deep, smooth, honed by years of charming crowds at fundraisers. One broken cop, a stray dog, and a homeless kid. "You think this is how justice comes?" Jack's finger tightened on the trigger, but above Lily shouted, "Look! Hank!" Delaney followed her gaze and saw it. The faint glow of SOS scrawled on the lift's pulley. At the same moment, Jack yanked the lever on the control box. The emergency beacon, unused for years, flared to life. A red light blazed atop the tower reflection, cutting through the storm, casting crimson over the valley like spilled blood. From the distance, the chopping of helicopter rotors echoed. Searchlights pierced the snow. The storm lit up with beams of white as black-clad federal tactical teams repelled from helicopters' rifles sweeping the SUV. Hank Delaney roared, reaching for his gun, but Jack fired first, a warning shot cracking the air. The eagle-necked tycoon froze as agents swarmed him, tackling him into the snow. Wade Boone thrashed beneath Rex, face half-buried, slicked hair matted with ice. The dog's teeth pressed harder, growl rumbling deep. Jack limped forward, snapping handcuffs over Wade's wrists, shoving him face first into the snow. "It's over," Jack said. Breath raw, blue eyes blazing with triumph and fury. The storm raged, but within it the lift's tower stood as a beacon. Hank Delaney, once untouchable, lay bound. Wade Boone, traitor, groaned under Rex's weight. And Lily James, shaking from the cold, but smiling through chapped lips, clung to the catwalk above chalk-stained hands, glowing faintly in red light. For the first time, the tide had turned. Snow retreated into the mountain ridges like a wounded beast. Aspen Hollow stirred with early spring icicles dripping from Eve's River, running faster buds pushing through thawing soil. Yet the town felt transformed, not just by season, but by the fall of a shadow that had loomed for years. Hank Delaney's empire was shattered. Federal raids swept through warehouses, depots, even private estates. Trucks marked with the eagle emblem were impounded, hidden compartments emptied. Dozens of children and migrants, once locked in cold rooms and cages, were freed and brought to shelters. The town buzzed with disbelief. Their benefactor, their man of generosity, unmasked as the architect of cruelty. Jack Carter had testified in early hearings, steady voice recounting every detail, lined face solemn beneath courtroom lights. But it was Lily James who stunned lawyers and reporters. 10 years old, wind-chapped cheeks, tangled brown hair. She spoke with fierce clarity of what she had seen. She told of trucks by the depot, the warehouse cage the night Rex barked down a traitor. The scarred German shepherd, once dismissed as unfit, was now honored in every paper. Pictures of him standing tall beside Jack appeared in headlines. Billy Knox 9 reborn, the dog who refused to fail twice. Where once he had trembled at the squeal of metal, Jack Carter had now braved the storm and the screech of steel to save his partner. The town prepared to honor them all. At the heart of Aspen Hollow, the square was strung with banners and garlands of early blossoms. Families gathered children perched on shoulders, vendors passed out steaming cocoa. The old bandstand, freshly painted white, was draped with the American flag. Jack Carter stood at the edge of the crowd, broad shoulders set beneath his dark blue police dress uniform. He had trimmed his beard for the occasion, though the scar at his temple still showed a reminder of fire and betrayal. His blue eyes softened when they rested on Lily James. The girl stood at the steps of the bandstand, her small frame almost unrecognizable from the ragged child he had first seen in the snow. Today she wore a pale yellow dress gifted by the women of the town. Her tangled hair brushed smooth into soft waves. She clutched the hem nervously, but beamed whenever someone smiled at her. Beside her stood Edna Knox, silver-haired caretaker of St. Bridget's. Edna's frame was thin but proud. Her blue shawl wrapped tight against the breeze, soft-lined face, lit with quiet joy. She had petitioned the courts, and with Jack's support, had been granted guardianship of Lily. Jack Carter, standing as her legal protector, had promised more. He would never let the girl face abandonment again. Ladies and gentlemen, called the mayor a stout man with a red face and white mustache. His voice boomed over the microphone. Tonight we gather not just to celebrate spring, but to honor the courage that brought down darkness in our valley. He gestured to Jack, who climbed the steps with slow, deliberate strides. His uniform gleamed, though his sling had only recently been discarded. He stood tall before the crowd, the weight of weeks behind him. There are men in uniform who do their duty every day, Jack began, voice steady. But there are also heroes who wear no badge, heroes who go unseen until the moment they're needed most. He paused, and the crowd held its breath. Then his gaze dropped to the German shepherd sitting at Lily's side. Rex's ears twitched at his name, unspoken amber eyes gleaming. There are, Jack said, voice-thickening heroes who walk on 4 legs. A cheer rolled across the square. Rex blinked, then wagged his tail, scarred flank, catching the lantern light. The mayor stepped forward with a medal, the honorary K9 Service Award ribbon, in the town's colors. Jack bent and clipped it onto Rex's collar. The dog shifted, puzzled by the weight, but Lily wrapped her arms around his neck, laughing through tears. From the crowd came applause shouts, even weeping. Old mechanics, teachers, shopkeepers, people who had once crossed the street to avoid Lily's rags, now clapped for her and the dog she had never left behind. Lily wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand. She turned to Edna, who squeezed her shoulder, then to Jack, who nodded solemnly. For the first time, Lily felt not like a shadow at the edge of town, but like a girl who belonged. As music struck up and the crowd spilled into dancing and chatter, Lily knelt beside Rex, stroking his muzzle fingers, tracing the white of his whiskers. He lowered his head into her palm, eyes closing with a rumbling sigh. You know, Rex, she whispered. People talk about families like they're born into them, but I think maybe families are found. Rex nudged her hand as if in agreement. Lily leaned closer, lips brushing his ear. Home is where we find each other. The dog's tail thumped once against the stage, soft but certain. And so beneath banners and blossoms, as the first warmth of spring touched Aspen Hollow, the broken were mended, a cop, a child, and a scarred dog. Bound not by blood, but by choice, stood together at last, a family carved from fire and storm. The town would remember the blizzard, the burning truck, the lift tower SOS. But more than that, they would remember the girl who refused to give up the dog, who refused to fail, and the man who refused to let them stand alone. In the end, this story is not just about a little girl, a wounded officer, or a scarred dog. It is about how courage, loyalty, and determination can weave miracles into everyday life. Maybe you too have faced storms where hope felt impossible. Remember, this faith can turn ashes into light, and family can be found in the most unexpected places. If this story touched your heart, please share it, so others may feel the same hope. Comment Amen if you believe courage still works miracles. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of faith, redemption, and love. May the Lord bless you and your family tonight.